So recently a movie called Bonhoeffer came out, and it chronicles the life of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was a pastor who lived around the time of the Nazi regime, and so of course the same time when Adolf Hitler was around. The movie paints, at least in the trailers and promotional material, paints Bonhoeffer as also a spy and an assassin. But the movie got me thinking a little bit about the topic of Christians killing, because Bonhoeffer was a part of some kind of assassination attempt on Hitler. And I think scholars, historians are a bit divided on some of the evidence that pointed towards Bonhoeffer being part of that assassination attempt. But it still got me thinking about Christians in general taking part in wars and in battles and killing people or killing in self-defense. And so I wanted to talk about this topic, and I hope this will be interesting to you. And so stay tuned. A little bit of a trigger warning. I'm gonna be talking about killing and murder in today's video. And so if that is scary to you, or if you think that you're maybe too young to watch today's video, maybe talk to your parents first, okay? And so a little bit of a disclaimer. I'm pretty sure you're aware already of Exodus 20:13, which just says, "You shall not murder." And depending on the translation, it might actually say, "You shall not kill." And so there's actually already a debate right there of, does the original language mean do not murder or do not kill? Well, either way, what would be the distinction? In English, murder has the connotation of you plotted to kill someone, right? Whereas to kill, on the other hand, might imply many different things. It could mean that you, by accident, killed someone. You know, maybe while you're driving down a street and someone jumps in front of your car and you kill the person, but it was unintentional. It was an accident. There's also killing in self-defense, like someone tries to rob you and they pull a knife on you, and at the last second, maybe you're able to wrestle away the knife, and in the process, you end up killing the person. But just to give my 2 cents, I actually do think that Exodus 20:13 does mean you shall not murder and not you shall not kill. And I believe that for many reasons, because throughout the Old Testament, God even commands his people to go and kill some nations as they go and conquer the land, for example, in the Promised Land, Canaan, or even in some other cases where some nation is trying to come against Israel and God leads them to go and destroy their enemy. Maybe you already know about the Old Testament, and maybe you can get behind God operating in that fashion in the Old Testament. But maybe you think of the New Testament and you're not sure if God has changed his mind when it comes to the whole killing thing, okay? And so let's look at a couple things here in the New Testament. First, let's look at Luke 3:14, which says, "Soldiers also asked him, 'And we, what shall we do?' And he said to them, 'Do not extort money from anyone by threats or false accusation, and be content with your wages.'" Just in short, this is a case where some soldiers are coming up to John the Baptist and they're asking him, what should they now do as people who now believe in God and have repented of their sins? Interestingly, John doesn't tell them, well, you should definitely stop being a soldier, because in the Roman Empire as a soldier, you're probably gonna have to kill some people at some point. And so he doesn't tell them actually to go and stop being a soldier. He just tells them, as you do your duties, be honorable. Don't cheat people, don't steal from them. And also another example, this is in Acts 10, verse 1-2, which says, "At Caesarea, there was a man named Cornelius, a centurion of what was known as the Italian cohort, a devout man who feared God with all his household, gave alms generously to the people, and prayed continually to God." And so again here, we have Cornelius being described as a God-fearing man, a man who prayed continually, but who remained as a centurion. And all the more so, he's not just a simple soldier, he's going to be the one commanding his troops to go and do what must be done at times, which may involve killing people. Now, I know that argument is a little bit weak. I'm not saying these verses condone killing of any sort, but what it does do is it shows us already that you could be a soldier and a Christian at the same time. These were not separate realities that you were supposed to live. So I just want us to see here that there is absolutely room here to say that as a soldier who may have to kill, you could still live as a Christian person, being faithful and God-fearing before the Lord. Let me read a quote here. This comes from Don Carson, and he says, "Where an enemy is perpetrating its horrible holocaust, is it not an act of love that intervenes, even militarily, to prevent that holocaust if a nation has the power to do so? And is not restraint in such cases a display, not of loving pacifism, but of lack of love, of the unwillingness to sacrifice anything for the sake of others? Indeed, such a war may be, according to Calvin, a godlike act, since God himself restrains evil out of love for his creatures. Okay, all that to say, if there's situations like the Holocaust, would it not be the godly thing to intervene? Now you might say, well, I could pray for them on the sidelines, and if that's your conviction, I think absolutely do that, okay? But I think you could just as much have a conviction that these people are killing innocent people by the thousands, if not millions. I really think that I gotta get in there and go and do something, which would mean I would need to go kill these Nazi soldiers to make them stop doing this. Maybe even up to killing Hitler, who is the one who's in charge of all these Nazi soldiers. And so this is really difficult. I want us to at least be open to the idea that, can God work in this way? Would he send his people to go and stop evil in that very specific way? My belief would be, yes, he can. Just as he's done all across history, I believe God can do that at certain times. Now, I want to say that really carefully, though, because I really do think that these are going to be extraordinary times, like the Holocaust. If it is something on a much smaller scale, where, let's just say, Christians by the thousands, we begin to be persecuted here in America, I don't believe that the first response should be to take up arms and defend ourselves. I believe that maybe if there's some kind of genocide going on, then maybe so. But I think that as Christians, in order for us to pick up arms and actually go and kill people, that would have to be, again, a very extraordinary circumstance and an extraordinary time in history. Now, I could also share some scriptures that may tell us as Christians we should never ever pick up arms. People like to use the example of Jesus with Peter in the garden, when Peter struck at someone trying to arrest Jesus and chopped off his ear, and Jesus told him to put his sword away. That, I would say, would actually be kind of a weak scriptural reference for that case. Any of the other scriptures I've seen haven't done a very good job at telling us as Christians we should never ever pick up arms for any reason. And so my opinion would be, only in extreme circumstances should the Christian pick up arms to go and take another life. Of course, these would probably be the circumstances of war, or something like a Holocaust, a genocide, those kinds of circumstances. Otherwise, I do think that often Christians will be the ones who are killed. Our lives are going to be the ones that are taken, even unjustly and unrighteously. And we will be subject to such things for a period of time before Jesus comes. What do you think about this topic? How do you feel about it? What are your thoughts? Leave your comment down below. Leave a like if you liked the video. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber already. But I hope that was helpful. God bless you. Love you. Peace.